It's week 21, and you would be forgiven for thinking I'm crackers, looking forward to Christmas. But I am, because I want to get rid of some of these Christmas trees. It's been a manic week. Normally I put a video up on a Monday, but the editing is going to have to wait this week because it's bank holiday, and we have been absolutely inundated. There's only myself and Lisa, and the bank holiday weekend is just proving horrendous in one sense. We've got watering waiting to be done, potting waiting to be done, customers desperate to be seen to. That doesn't sound very good, that, does it? The Royal Horticultural Society have said we are in crisis. The industry is lacking youngsters coming through. This is Eggleston Hall Gardens, and over the next 12 months we're going to take you on a journey of what it's like to run a nursery garden. We are at present, well I am at present because there's no bugger else here. I'm at present getting the potting shed prepared. Today or tomorrow, not sure which, we have 2,790 young shrub liners coming in. So I need to get lots of compost. The compost is needed. I think I've worked it out that I need about 95 bags, something like that. Next week we have another 1,200, so we've got over the next 2 weeks 4,000 shrubs coming in, really. Shrub liners, few climbers, that sort of thing.
Pepper's just done a shit by the Philadelphus if you want to pick it up.
Oh God, that's just so fantastic information, Thomas, thank you for that.
I thought you'd want to know.
Maybe I'll go down and video it. Now, these are some young bays that we have. People like bay trees. I have some big ones which I will film. But it's week 21 now, so we want to start this week with something practical. This is a bay cutting that's been allowed to grow up. You can see it's developed 1 or 2 side shoots. So what we're going to do, it's nicely rooted, so we're going to just pop that into a pot. Just a 2-litre pot to grow on for this year. Now there's lots of things we could do with this. We could grow it as an espalier or a fan or all sorts of things which people don't normally realise with bays. But most people, if they don't just want a bay bush like you have a box or something like a pyramid or a cone or a ball, they like them grown on a stem because it's nice and formal, and people sometimes have one in the garden or 2 either side of a door. The ones I have that I'll show you in a little bit I've been working on for about 12 to 15 years, I would say. Certainly 12. Anyway, we've planted that in there. We've got a nice lead growth, and there's 2 or 3 side shoots coming off. So the first thing we're going to do is just stick a cane in. Now you might want to, you could use twine, but I'm just going to use a tape gun. The twine's fine. And we're just going to tie it to the cane. so that it's nicely in there. Now these side shoots, the temptation is always to develop it, to let it grow up and remove all the leaves and develop the stem very, very quickly. Well, that's so that it looks sale worthy then. The nursery, too many nurserymen, they hurry it up. What we want to do is just leave as much leaf on that stem as possible. We don't want lead growth because we can cut it back later. But we don't want lead growth. We want the lead growth to gain the height. But what we want is all of these leaves acting as food factories and feeding the stem and making that stem stronger. So we're just going to nip off these side shoots back to about 3 or 4 leaves. Now we'll take the growing point out. If they produce another growing point, we just take them back to 1 leaf. This is really just for a year or two, because eventually it'll hold these leaves for about 2 or 3 years and then produce another one from the leaf axil. But what we can do is we just want to strengthen that stem and all that leaf up there. I know it doesn't look like the finished product, but that takes a few years, and the patience will repay you in the end. You must be patient. And when it gets to about 3 or 4 foot, you can start then applying the 1/3 rule by stripping 1/3 of the height of the tree. So once it's about 3 foot, we can clear about 1 foot of stem. If we only want it to grow 3 foot, well, we'll work on the head, but that's another job for another day, or an explanation for another day. You can see here's one that I did earlier. You can see there's more side shoots on this. Just want to nip them out, leave a pair or 2 of leaves, and just leave all these leaves here acting as I say, like little food factories and feeding that stem. You can buy cheap bay trees and they've been forced up and they've got a pissy stem and their heads all loose and they'd never make anything. Have a look at these that have taken me 12 years. And here are some finished bay. These are just different shapes I've done. This one here, these have been trimmed back the end of last year, but they'll start breaking away soon and bush out more. Otherwise, if you don't keep on top of them, the head just gets all straggly. This one's a double. This one is a treble. This one's a long, thin stick of a thing. That was what somebody wanted, and then they went and died, which was very unhelpful. And then there's just an ordinary bush there. This is one that had a strange little side shoot which I kept, so we've got a little half piece there leading up to a bigger one at the top. So there's all sorts of things that you can do with them. Most of the ordinary shorter ones I sell very quickly. Quickly is a relative term. Come on, Tuck. Come on, where you go? It's a relative term in as much as quickly means I might only spend 6 years on them. It's quite a nice evening actually. There's a lot of shooting going on in the background, and I don't know if I've explained to you that our pressure vessel is broken. So we've got lots of problems with irrigation, and it is a big problem. I used to have to kick the pressure vessel, but the membrane in the pressure vessel is leaking, so when you go to put air in it, it just fills your pump up with water. I know it's more nerdy irrigation. It's only a couple of years old, but it does get a lot of work. So we have to put it off and on manually. This is the borehole switch. Let me turn that off. It's all very exciting, but we're in a really hot and windy spell at the moment. Well, it's hot at the moment, but we're due some gale force winds over the next couple of days, which is really not going to be very helpful. It's going to cause us all sorts of problems. You've seen those little anemones, they're still in flower. They're lovely. Trilliums by the thousand. Unfortunately, they were looking really good, and when they were fully in flower, it was unfortunate that we were in lockdown, so we had no customers at that time. About half a tank, that's about 7,000 litres. I may have explained to you before that the mains pressure here is so weak, you know. Piss faster. The piping is so old and it's lead, and you can't drink from it. So we have a special one for tap for drinking water. Getting back to these anemone multifiders, the lovely yellow little flowers. And there's the Multifold Rubra. It's not fully out yet. We'll have another look at it in a while, but it's the same thing, but the flower is so much smaller. These dogs won't go home. They think I'm going out after rabbits again. Did I say the rabbit word? Yeah. You'd think they'd be tired out, and they're getting on a bit. Oh, where's she gone? It's quite funny, actually. We are rabbit proof, but we can't keep it fully rabbit proof because they come in the bloody gate where customers come in, or they come down under the stream. I've seen rabbits come through the stream on the bridge. But what they do is they get to the other side of this netting here, and where Pepper is now, the rabbits, they seem to know that the dog can't get through at them, and they just sit there and look at them and taunt them. I've watched them doing it. I must try and get that filmed because it's so funny. And the dog's going crackers and they run up and down. Tucker was almost nutting the gate, the fence post in frustration. It sounds like somebody else is out after bunnies. Well, end of another day. We took delivery of the liners, and oh god, it was hard. It was I don't know where the guy was from, but he wouldn't go down the road where we normally unload, so we had to unload on the main road, and there's thousands of them. And all he kept saying was, "I'm not happy, I'm not happy." I wasn't very fucking happy either, but there you are. Oh, look at this here. Such a lovely evening. Birds are singing. I should be saying something here, but my God would just spoil the evening. Well, we've taken delivery of the first load of liners. The liners are a plant, unlike a plug. You probably know what a plug is. It's just like a plug plant. You can get them tiny little things, or you can get them up to about 2.5 centimetres. But a liner like this, if you take it out of the pot, is what it is. It's a plant for growing on and lining out, nicely rooted. We have here an incredible amount. There's viburnums, euonymus, escalonias, berberis. Lisa wanted to do a lot of pittosporums. Now, I'm not a lover of pittosporum, but there are about 12, 15 varieties of Pittosporum. Now once this stuff is potted on, we line it out for the year to grow on. It then probably gets potted up again next spring to produce a finished plant that summer. They're very useful for the nurseryman, but especially for missing out the early stage if you run out of propagation. Look at this. And also a lot of plants that have got license, you need a license for, the plant breeders' rights. This is a lovely thing. This is I think it's a callus. Oh dear. We'll come back to that one. Oh God, you know, when you get older, you just get so forgetful. I'll lift it up again. It's a crinodendron. I think it's Crinodendron Hockerii, and it has these lovely waxy yellow, waxy red lanterns, and they sit on the shrub for a long time. It prefers an acid soil. There's one or two other varieties, I think Ada, Hoffman or something similar like that, I can't remember, but I find that a bit wishy-washy. But then, you know, that's just me. Yeah, people might find that a bit too much of a hot colour, but crinodendrons are really nice. But as I say, Lisa was obsessed with growing a load of Pittosporums. It's a good job I'm retiring next year, because I really cannot remember things. I don't know where it goes. There is a great big void where my brain used to be. It's a lovely evening. We've been very busy and haven't got all the jobs done, and frankly I'm too tired now. Look at these dogs. They are bored stiff. All they live for is hunting. I'm getting in a great big pallet of compost, and all they're bothered about is whether there's a rat or a rabbit or a mouse under that pallet when I've got it up. This is why Jack Russells are so useful on the nursery. And it's pretty organic. You have to say it's organic. Nothing is more natural than predator and prey.
This is a Wisteria sinensis alba that our granddad planted a very long time ago. It's growing up a poor crabapple tree that comes out in the spring. The crabapple comes out in the spring and thinks, yay, it's time to wake up, and then a couple of weeks later the wisteria completely takes over. But yeah, it smells amazing from here, and it's all these really beautiful white flowers. So although we are known for propagating Japanese maples, in the trade we will also graft wisteria in the winter. Oh hang on, there's another one up here. I don't know where the sun is. This one is one that my granddad planted. It was a seedling, and it's just taken over this. What's this? This is a prunus, isn't it? Prunus tree. And it's very pretty. It doesn't really matter that it's taken over the prunus because it looks pretty. Right, and here are how the wisteria understocks start out. We call them whizzies. That's just what Dad used to call them. They're just coming up. I sow, me and my little boy, who's 2, he helped me sow these about 3 weeks ago. So I'll show him, I don't know if you can see in the camera, I'll show him these when he gets home. These tiny little things coming up. And then over here, we've got some larch, Larix leptolepus. Is that right? Yeah. Japanese larch. They're just coming up, tiny little things. So yeah, we don't just do Japanese maples. We do lots of other things in the trade, but we predominantly, the things we propagate the most are the maples. And this, which is something else that's potentially very interesting. Very interesting. So this is Aconitifolium, which is a Japonicum, Acer Japonicum, and the seedlings, some of the seedlings are coming up as dissectums. Where are they? Let me find one for you. I'm now saying that I can't find one. Look, there. Oh, that is a dissectum. There's no way that we could have mixed the seed, just because we can't. And Japonicum, the Aconitifolium seeds are huge, so there's no way we could have mistaken them for palmatum seedlings, so it could be quite interesting to see what they grow into. Also, there's a lot of clover in here which we need to be weeding, which is what Matthew's doing now. There he is, starting. Now this is not so much interesting as absolutely infuriating. Matthew, this is our conifer. These are supposedly our conifer rootstocks in these 3 seed beds for next year, and the squirrels got in and cleared the lot of them before, like the seeds. So Matthew only put them in the ground about 2 weeks ago, which was late anyway, so we've had to order more and hope that they'll grow in time, but who knows. But yeah, so 3 whole seed beds. You can see where the little squirrels dug them all up. Little marks. So yeah, I'm not very impressed with squirrels at the moment. There's a bit of a war on us and those poor squirrels.
So I'm just scraping this wall off, getting rid of all the weeds, ready to bring a few plants down. I quite like this wall because it's nice to display things. It can all be stuff that needs hand washing, and I'm going to be bringing down a lot of the bearded irises and agapanthus, just things that we hope can just bake and thrive here. Obviously the bearded irises are almost coming into flower now, the agapanthus will be a bit later, but I'm just going to giving it a bit of a scrape and a weed off. Obviously it's got the Mypex membrane underneath, but we put the chippings over just to be a bit of a weed suppressant. But all I do, instead of picking them out individually, I just turn the rake upside down, go underneath like that and just give him a scrape so I can loosen the roots and flip back over, and I can just...
Is that one of them adjustable rakes?
That's the adjustable one, yeah. And go down to that.
Yeah.
Pretty handy.
Yeah. There's been a lot of people in the last couple of days.
It's quite nice. Lilacs, lovely, isn't it? Paliban. Coming into flower soon. It's a nice way, so as you can see, it's quite a nice dwarf one.
What's that, about 3 foot?
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
3
old
foot.
will it be? It's been here ever since.
Well, it's been here since I've been here, so it's been here about 25 years, I'd say, 24 years. Yeah, it's like a 3 or 4 foot dome. It's really nice. I like the way you've trimmed that.
Yeah, I'm trying to open up the hazel so its canopy starts above the height of the lilac.
Yeah, there's a red majestic, and then you can get those dwarf conifers underneath.
Yeah.
It's looking quite good, actually. So.
Oh, hello there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Not that it's not self-explanatory.
Are you filming now?
Yeah.
Alright. I've just been bringing the bearded irises down. You can see that some of them, especially along there, they're going to be coming into flower soon. Can be really quite showpiece in the garden, the irises, with really quite massive flowers, but if we don't bring them down now, give it a few, I don't know, I can't really say a few weeks, can I? Give it a few days and the flowering season will be finished for them.
Yeah, that's the trouble with irises. They are lovely flowers, but they don't last very long.
We overwinter them on the wall. They seem like they were just baking hot in the sun, and we brought them down to here just so that they can be a nice display. Seem
Yeah.
to thrive on very little feed. And you never know, there's an occasional one there throwing up a flower spike. Hopefully some more of these might develop them, but they're some of the new season plants. We got bare root in the spring. There's picked up quite nicely.
Yeah.
We put them on this little wall so they can cook a little bit and just get hand watered whenever they need it. And here's just a little update for people. Please do excuse the weeds. We don't really get much of a chance to do a lot of weeding at the minute, the amount of potting there is to do and watering. But here are some of the cuttings you might remember we did earlier on in the year. Well, Liz did them, I just filmed. But there's the Willow, the Britzensis. That's the one with the orange winter stems. You can see them shooting away nicely. There's more of them at the back. And you can see some of the corners are shooting away. Some of them, unfortunately, as is the case, I think they just got frosted by one of the late frosts. They might break away from lower down, but we shall have to see. But obviously, with success, you get failures. That's that Salix Fargesii. We thought when we're taking them, we know it's not easy to do from cuttings, or even possible to do from cuttings. Normally, it is grafted, and as you can see there, they're just not going to work. There's some of the willows. That's a Britzensis. There's some cuttings I did there of Salix Mount Aso, and that is Salix Melanistakis. That's the one with the black catkins. Sorry about this wind. And that is Salix. It used to just be called Rosemarinifolia, as in rosemary leaved, but it has since changed. I think it's something like Salix Eleagnos, subspecies Angustifolia, which far easier to remember. And there's one. They were actually cuttings not from this winter just gone, from the previous winter, Salix Helvetica. It's a nice dwarf willow. Takes quite some time to grow and get going, but we've got a few nice little ones coming along there. And here are the willows that were hard pruned, shooting away now. I pruned them early March, I think it was, the video, and the corners as well. You can see them there just really shooting away now. You can see why prune them so hard, because they do really recover so quickly. And you can see there the corners shooting away nicely as well. And I also thought, while I'm up here, I'll just show you in one of the videos in the winter I was on with a Rubit Tibetanus, and we had just one plant left and decided to split it up and divide it, and here are the results. I only got reminded of these the other day when a chap came in and actually asked about it because he seen it on the video, and he ended up buying 3. And you can see there, just because they were really just ripped apart, so I'm really quite amazed how well they have recovered, because you can see their roots coming out the bottom, because we never cut them back or anything as well. So I'm really surprised just at how well they have done and how quickly they have taken to root, because they were just ripped apart or something. I cut them with secateurs, some of them had very little root at all, but they've really come on quite nicely. And there's some little willow cuttings from not last winter, the winter before now, growing on the Britzensis. So they'll be ready this year to make a nice display in the winter, and then they'll get cut back hard next spring. I do like this time of year when you see everything starting to wake up. And predictably being me, I can't help but do a little bit on some of the conifers. This is a lovely little Abies. I believe it's Abies concolor or concolor lowiana. It's not fully decided what the species is of this one, but it's a cultivar called Creamy. You can see why it has this lovely fresh new spring cream growth. and it lasts for quite a long time actually. Some of the conifers with the spring growth, it only lasts a matter of weeks. This one can go on for about 6 weeks or more if the weather's nice. And this one, it's a real nice shape actually. I was fortunate to get this one planted because it's gonna make a real nice pyramid of colour. Hopefully when it gets a bit larger and can justify to Malcolm to get rid of this god awful privet ball. Bloody thing. And you've got the blue spruces waking up as well with the nice pastel new growth. Just ignore that bloody arum. Malcolm won't let me spray that off. Bastard thing. Don't want in here to conifer. It's not a conifer. But it is actually quite a nice plant, truth be told. I just keep forgetting every year. I keep digging pieces of it up, but you always seem to miss a bit, and it comes back. But here are the clematis flowering nicely. I think Malcolm's kept filming amber over the time, but here's Guernsey cream. It's flowering now. You can see there, it's got that white flower and that slight creamy greenish stripe to the flower. Some of them have actually got a bit scorched in this and damaged in this wind, but yeah, it's doing quite nicely actually. It's certainly an improvement on the ones that were there initially. And here's one I'll have to show people. It's a Pines parviflora. It's not at its best yet, with this little red tinge to the candles. But it's called Tanima No Yuki, which is Japanese, and I believe it translates to snow on the mountain, because as you can see, obviously it's got this white top to the growth. It'll eventually mature to green, but all the new growth, it keeps that lovely white colour. Then over here, we've got this little Pines parviflora blue lou, with the nice little pink pollen cones. Make this one really nice and appealing. Then we've got the clematis. The montanas here. The idea initially was to have, it's obviously a 4-and-4 splitter, have 4 alpina types, which obviously Guernsey cream isn't, but we didn't have any other alpinas at the time, and 4 montana types. So I believe we've got Elizabeth, which is that one there, Maylene or Mylene there, and there's that pink perfection there with Broughton Star. But to be honest, apart from Broughton Star, I can't actually pick out what the bloody difference is between the other 3. But they put on a very nice show at this time of year, and they do have quite a lovely scent. And to surprise this year as well, this magnolia didn't get frosted. Because normally magnolia around this area, they're just a bit pointless in having, because they do seem to every year get frosted. But this one got away with it this year. And yeah, something else that just catches my eye in the conifer border. It used to take up a very large area, but obviously when I first did the conifer border, I dug the majority of this up. Now there's this pieces growing up through the path. But this is, obviously, it's a lily of the valley, and it's Convalarium majalis albostriata. Even though I've always thought the stripes on the leaf, they do appear more golden to me, but it's called albostriata as in white striped. And it is a really quite nice one, with that typical lovely lily of the valley scent. I do often find it funny how many customers, if you suggest lily of the valley to them, they almost wince, because they've had it in the garden and it's maybe spread and it does go quite rampant. But if I'm being perfectly honest, when you look at something as lovely as that, what's the problem if it goes rampant? There's far worse things to go rampant and take over your garden. Vinca for one of them. Here's the little pooch still putting on a show for us. And thank you to the people who did correct Malcolm in what the letters mean on the trough, or what the symbols mean in symbolising words, meaning I only know plenty, rather than north, south, east, west, as Malcolm thought.
That looks quite difficult.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
This was an old herb garden. You got plans for it, John?
Pardon?
You got plans for it?
Yeah, it's going to be a rookery.
Oh,
A nice rookery.
so I thought we would just take a film of it before, and then as the project progresses. Look at that wisteria made. Yeah, it's a herb garden that's got a bit out of control. So it's getting the batty treatment.
It's getting the batty treatment. But she's no messing around.
Looking at that, it's just gone over. It's the trouble with things, these sort of like irregular gardens. They get to become a mess if they're not looked after. Anyway, we have them before, and we'll plot the progress of it throughout the year. The old snowdrop tree that we cut back. I'll have to subtitle the proper name of it because I've forgotten, but we cut it right back because it was huge, and it's breaking away nicely. Probably not what we want right down here from the stem. Oh God, I keep finding these. I know what it is. It's bloody women that keep them up their tissues up their sleeve. Look, he's scrunched up. Is she going to be snotting and sniffing into that? Could have coronavirus. I've got to pick the bugger up now. Good. We find them all over the place. I find at least about 5 a day, I would say. Why do you have to keep them up your sleeve? Yeah. Life's full of tribulations at times, isn't it? Only eased by the pleasure of viewing a little self-sown aquilegia. Calm, calm. That's maple, is one called Fireglow, and it's very old. I did a load of seedlings of it last year. It's a lovely thing. It really is glowing in the autumn and winter. The old Ceanothus is looking good. It's got us over the stream, this one. Up till a few years ago it was looking really crap. And all of a sudden it just sort of picked itself up. I don't know what that bird is, but it's half noisy. Anyway, it's picked itself up and now it's doing all right. They are a lovely plant. That's a Primula florinde in the stream there, just happily sat away. But the plant I really got me thing out for, my camera, is this. We've seen it in pots, but this is it in the ground now. This is a little specimen I planted a while back, a year or so back, and it's the Centaurea aurea, Centaurea montana aurea. I just think that the contrast of the blue and the lovely gold foliage is so lovely, and it's growing under a second Sugi cryptomeria, so it's a little combination I really like. planted hostas. Let me show you these. I'm walking along the stream like I've shat myself because I've got one leg either side of the stones and they're slippery. These hostas I put in a few years ago, and we've had one hit of them, but we will hit them again. Nigrescence is an old variety. Golden Sunburst is, well, it's horrible. Red October is a red stemmed one. It's okay, but there are lots of others along here, and I just use them as stock. But unlike most people, I will be dividing them quite soon, in the next 2 to 3 weeks, if I get a chance. They are best done in this time of the year, potted into either ones, or this one here is American Halo, and they just thrive better. Wide brim, which has a wide brim. This one at the back is a huge one. It's called Blue Mammoth. Great big leaves. You can see, you know, it's hard to judge on a camera. Pepper, what's in there? Who's in there? Yes. What's this? Yeah, well, you see the dog there, and there's the hosta. I think that one next to it is one of the pie crusts. Let's have a little look. Oh, no, it's not. Sorry, completely wrong. Jimmy Crack Corn. It is a. When you do them in June, you just need to put them somewhere shady, because they have been torn out, but they soon pick up. And the reason I do it then is because they give you a saleable plant next year. Most of these in here were done in June last year, and look at that. And because of that, you get a really, really good plant. You get 3 or 4 breaks on it next year. The old praying hands is always popular. Interesting, as opposed to beautiful, I suppose. We can apply that to a lot of plants. If I had to choose one hosta above all others that I really like, it's this one. This is Dreamweaver. It's such a lovely clean variegation. The leaves have a lovely twist to them. The lovely, I see, chartreuse colours. I think it's just a lovely hosta. It's not too big, it's not too small, it's just right. It's a Goldilocks plant. It is, it's lovely. And that one there, that's just one that somebody's bought or thought they were going to buy and then just dumped it in the border. We get this all the time. This is a variety called George Smith. I think I've explained to you the difference between a liner and a plug. But this, we use the wall and we put them up like we use the wall for so much when they're potted, and they'll grow on here all summer. Some of them will grow faster than others, like the Sambucus are actually quite slow in their initial stages. We have Exocordas, Cotoneasters, lots of Berberis, Lots of fancy Berberis coming through. Sobaria Sem. We're so short-staffed, but I've drafted in my son, Jan Eves. And Jan has been potting away. He's not a plants person. In fact, I think he really wouldn't know the difference between an oak tree and a tin of Campbell's soup. But he's good at potting and he sticks with it, and we're getting through. Just about 25% through this lot. Anyway, I suppose things will get a little better. They are a useful way of growing things. We find that just growing them up on this wall, we can develop them for a year, and then you end up with a much nicer shrub. We can have some control over them if they need pruning. Like these are last year's, and this is a nice euonymus, europaeus, lovely autumn colours. Again, we're going to give this a second year up here, and then we might prune it back to strengthen it. It's a little sappy at the moment. This is a very nice little flower arrangers. Love this. It makes a real nice dome. Now these need to be potted on further. They've been here since this time last year. This is Stephanandra incisa crispa. It makes a lovely little dome of foliage, and it turns the most lovely russet colours in the autumn. It's not widely grown. There's some of the spireas. I want to give them another year so we get a nice decent sized plant. That one's called June Bride. It's still May. She's got her dates mixed up. There's some Weigelas there, the Hydrangea paniculatus. A lot of the stuff has already gone down for potting on. And some of the slower stuff we've kept behind. Now this Black Beauty, it does better if we don't over pot it too soon. We just keep it in a nice tight pot, and then pot it when it's really moving. Keep them moving. That's the same old song, I say it all the time. And this is a Pieris japonica called Little Heath Green. It's one of my favourite of the Pieris. It's a little dwarf. It's got a bit of winter damage to it here. I find one that's not, but it will go a lovely green. It'll grow through this, and it will make a lovely, lovely little shrub. But because of that winter damage, we've just held them back. So that's all. This whole wall was full up last year with young liners, and we've kept it. This is all that's left. These last few here. There seems to be a really good set of apples appearing. Not surprised. Next month, now let's go through this. This is sometimes people get in a panic if there's a really heavy set of apples. People get a bit of a panic because they start dropping. It depends on the weather and the set. Now, you see this cluster here. Now, some of these, if I just touch them, they're going to drop off. It's what we call the June drop. It's not quite June yet, but they're already starting. You can see the tree will not set more than it can cope with, generally. Some trees are a bit silly, but no, it won't set too many. So what it does is, if it's got too much fruit, it drops the young apples. This has got a bit of sawfly on it. I think these are the webs of sawfly. Probably a sawfly. You can see they're like cobwebs, and those webs have got lots of sort of eggs in them, and then they turn into these caterpillars. Well, they've already turned. Do you see the caterpillars? Let's see if I can get this there. And as they get bigger, they just you can see the bastards there they are. Yeah, You often see it on, you get them on a lot of plants. They can decimate, sawfly can decimate Solomon's seal, and apples in particular. Well, lots of things. I'm struggling here to think of the thing. I've just picked one up. You very often get euonymus. This one that we picked up earlier, mature plants of this can get covered in these webs. Oh, it's a devil. If I get a problem with it this year, I'll show you. We can spray it, but personally I just like to pull the webs off and either squash them or just let the birds do it. We have such a heavy population of birds here that most of them will pick them off. And the damage, well, they're just life that wants to live, aren't they? As long as they don't get too much out of control, we can cope with it. My option is to spray chemicals on them, and I don't know what else I'm going to kill at the same time. I understand why some growers do it. I really do. But perhaps it's a life stage thing, I don't know. I don't fancy doing it. And just have a little look here. Some of our things have come on, and we've seen these. Some of these beautiful little alpines. We keep coming back to these, but now some of them are actually producing flower. That's the violas we brought up earlier. You get 3 years out of them in your garden. You treat them right. Yeah, some of the little alpines are starting to develop flowers up there. There's the odd weed in them now. But I'm very pleased with these. They've done really well this year. And oh, look at that little white thrift. This is Juniper folius, Armeria Juniper folius alba, the white one. It's lovely. Somebody wrote to me and said, would I do a film one week in the style of a proper gardening presenter? So I'm trying to work out how best to do it, but yeah, I'll give it a go if that's what people want. Now, I grew 3 lots of runner beans. The pink flowered Celebration, the white flowered Moonlight, and the red flowered Firestorm, the 3 modern varieties. The Firestorm, now these were all sown at the same time. We've got a nice, relatively nice, even production. Moonlight, they're doing very well as well. Really quite good with those. I'm quite impressed with those. The Celebration, well, they may pick up. They were all sown at the same time. This here is the same plant. This is the same plant. A cynic would think that they were mixing old seed with new seed. But, you know, nobody likes to be a cynic, do they? Nobody wants to believe that they take 30% of old seed or 50% of old seed and mix it with new seeds. They just wouldn't do that. Their integrity is far too great, I am sure. There you are. That's those pulled, the little red sprouts that we pulled apart. Now that's 1 week on. Oh, look how lovely and erect they are. That's the little tomatoes I'm growing. It's something called Bloody Butcher, an old heritage variety. I'm quite interested in that. It should be interesting. Right, this is a little update of the vegetable plot. I'm actually going to put some courgettes in one of these things, which is, to me, is a waste of a pot. But my wife says that she finds them interesting to watch grow. There's no accounting for taste, I suppose. What I'm going to do with these is plant them. I'm not going to fill the pot up quite so far. I'm going to leave it 5 or 6 inches below the bottom. And this is because courgettes, they're open-assed buggers. And they flop over, the plant flops over. So I'm only putting 3 in. Hopefully, what will happen is we'll be able to just hold the plant against the sides of the pot. But there's all sorts of varieties. This is one called Genovese. But you can grow these in grow bags. And you're forever watering them, of course. But this one should be all right here. Yeah, Genovese, they're all the same. Most of them have like green or yellow skins. There is a variety, I can't remember what it is, a fairly new one that has a light green sort of colour. I've actually got some in there. It shows you how daft I'm getting, but never mind. So there we are, courgettes. And as I say, we're just going to use 2/3 of the, or even only half of the bin. If we have a look at the other stuff, everything's fine. The kale is coming on. This is a kale that you can eat the young leaves of as it gets older, a boracole. It's quite good. Beans, doing well. The lettuces, as we spoke about last week, they're doing fine. They're probably, I would prefer a smaller variety, but we can just lift 1 or 2 of these out and use the leaves and just leave 4 or 5 in to grow on as full-size lettuce. The runner beans are doing okay. They're starting to get some extension growth on in the middle. The peas, I bunged a few radish in the middle. It's not, I don't know what that would be like. There's not much there. Now there's another set of beans here, runner beans. Just put in, this is Moonlight, white flowered. These were the peas we sowed a little while ago. They're not through yet, but the golden beet that we stuck in the middle, that's just starting to show. And then there's another runner bean here called Celebration. Carrots, they're doing okay, and the Boltardi beet, they're doing fine as well. I'm expecting great things of those. Okay, that's it. There is no more to be said. I'm going to bugger off home now. Here you coming, dog. Come on. Just to show you, there's no fall like an old fall. See that tree there? Up until about 4 or 5 years ago, I was growing that and showing people how proud I was of it. Growing an olive in the north of England. It was given to me. This is not an olive. It's an Elaeagnus called Quicksilver. I've never grown olives, so I wouldn't have known. It looked roughly like pictures I'd seen. So it don't matter how long you've been at the business, it don't matter how old you are, how experienced you are, You can still be a dopey old sod. I bet they laughed their bollocks off when they found, well, I know they did. They thought it was highly amusing.